How's that, mate? You guys have a World Cup winner in your team.
Oh, it's crazy.
Huh?
It was even a thing of like having players at the World Cup was cool. And then it was, oh my God, we've got a World Cup like finalist. And then it's like, yeah. And set up a goal in the World Cup final as well. You know, he's not someone who's come off the bench for 5 minutes to play. Like he's starting in the midfield, all the way through the knockouts.
He's a starter, genuine starter.
And it's great because he did not play like that in midfield when he first joined. Not he was bad, sorry, but like he was playing as a number 10. He was in like an attacking midfield role, and just dropped deeper and deeper. It's almost just like a defensive midfielder. Someone who tackles more than he shoots now. He's fantastic. It's great having such a wide range of backgrounds of people from nationalities, from different footballing contexts that have come from all over the globe. And I think it's great because I'm not sure how much you know about Brighton as a place, but it's a place that really strives to be inclusive, really diverse. It's known basically as one of the LGBTQ plus hotspots in England, which it's weirdly suffered abuse for, as if that isn't like an amazing thing that people have somewhere where they can go and feel safe. So I think it's what sort of prides itself on being a bit different. It's very like left wing, very liberal, and you've then got a stadium of people that are very different because they come to watch a team that is very different. And maybe the style now and the whole approach with having a local owner actually ironically is very different to what most of the Premier League do. It probably shouldn't be different. That's probably another 2 hour long podcast that we don't need to get into. It really, really makes me smile, makes my heart quite warm. So I love it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Let's finally talk about Tony Bloom. What I first noticed was when you guys had Nike sign here and Amex, maybe it was like 2-3 years into Premier League, and I was, everyone else had Bet something or some Chinese character. That's when I noticed like, whoa, these guys are maybe doing something different. And I always kind of thought as soon as you lose Potter or like Lewis Dunk go down, well, evidently you lose Potter, Bissoma, Trossard, Mope, a whole bunch of players in the last few years. But I mean, the most surprising probably will be De Zilbe after Potter left. You guys always seem to have some kind of solution, and here you are, 2023, probably better shape than ever as far as I know. I mean, as you said, you guys have been always progressive since you were a little kid. So if you can tell me your view, what has he done?
Tony Bloom's great. He's somehow managed to make this system whereby Brighton seem to sell their best players and all the good things and still get better. He's got a background in gambling. Very successful gambler, I believe, on Chinese handicap betting and similar things like that. Effectively a way more qualified mathematician than I. He's a local Brighton guy, he's a Brighton fan. He works with Matthew Benham a lot as well. He's at Brentford, and they really don't get on now. There's a real like tension between them from professional stuff, I think. It's funny because now when Brighton play Brentford, Bloom won't sit in the director's box. He'll go into the away because he doesn't want to be near Benham, so you always get great photos of him.
That's a good story.
Our first Premier League season in 2017-2018, Brighton drew 0-0 at Watford. I went to it in the away end and he was like 2 rows behind me. So I just went up to him and just shook his hand and was like, just thank you for what you've done for this football club. And he was like, yeah, no problem, because he cares as well. And it's just this perfect balance of a man who's a genius, gambles professionally, he owns horses. This is a man that has made millions, I think, playing poker. And then it's great because like Arsenal fans don't always know his background, and then when it comes to the transfer window and they're trying to sign Caicedo, Bloom's going no to 75 million. They're like, why is this man turning him down? And it's like this is his job. Like you've gone and played poker. You're playing human poker to a degree with a professional gambler. What do you expect, sort of thing? I have no idea as to what his models and his data and everything is that goes on the inside, but I imagine it's comprehensive. And having worked with analysts and stuff, the technical tactical side, they've got a really good progression framework where there's people that have been at that club for years that are in sort of more the backroom staff, in medical roles or in analysis roles that work their way up through jobs. There's a lot of stability and there's a real good sense of still the same identity of what that club had maybe 10-15 years ago, even though the parts might change. It's, I understand some fans feel more of a disconnect now, but I think they're doing really well to hold on to what the club still values. With a lot of other clubs, it's very easy to let a takeover occur or to just I think let that identity get blown out the water when you're scrapping to stay in sort of the Premier League now. So no, it's great. You go to Brighton on a game day and like the city's filled with shirts and stuff, and it's a good vibe. It's a good place to be.
Yeah, just even the clubhouse. Like I was doing some research a while ago, and where'd you guys all come from? Like state of the art, clubhouse, your stadiums you're renewing. Literally seems to be doing everything right. I just did a huge series on the Glazers and Man United. Ronaldo was bitching and moaning about the pool and the start, and it does look pretty old. Stories are endless about how old Trafford is. And he's Brighton, Tony Bloom, seems to be doing all the right things. It's
amazing when you get an owner that cares and a fan base that cares and people that do the right things because they're the right things to do rather than because it's just going to benefit them or and I appreciate that the remit of what Brighton and Manchester United need to achieve is vastly different. We've seen this now with what Chelsea fans are rightly saying about the expectations for Graham Potter are not the same as they were at Chelsea to what they are or what they were at Brighton. I'm not trying to put us on the same pedestal now. But no, I think, when you start doing those things and you grow and develop organically, it's easier to keep doing. There's now, there's established pathways for players to come across from South America that they've seen, to come across from Japan. We've had Australian players that have come over as well. There's very little that this club can't do that they don't already. And there's just a real, I think, degree of sort of open-mindedness. There's a training ground where the academy, the first team, and the men's first team, the women's first team, and the women's academy development age groups all train on the same pitches. It's an amazing big training base at Lancing. The women's side have their own bespoke building that got open last summer. Fantastic plush facility, everything you need in there. First team have a spa on site and everything. There's, as I said at the start, I think about doing good things and just staying at that level and letting everyone else sort of just, we're seeing with Liverpool, with Chelsea, other teams plummet around you. Suddenly you then take 3-4 steps up the table. West Ham, another great example of a team that just looked to have fallen off a cliff from a team that was Europa League semi-finalist yesterday.
Wolves.
And suddenly that goes from Brighton in mid-table to Brighton pushing for Europe. Admittedly, we're looking set to break our sort of points tally this season, and we've scored a lot more goals, but it's not exactly like we're going from a jumping like 20 or 30 points. We're maybe going to get 5 to 10 more, which will be like a 15% increase in what we've managed before. But it's as much us doing a good level of progression, which not many other clubs are doing, and everyone else falling off. So it just amazes me that football sort of works like that. I think it's quite funny, really.
I think I was a little bit curious. So you said the fans are a little bit divided between the generations. So I'm a Liverpool fan, and that's kind of happening even in Japan. I only have appreciation for FSG and what they've done. I've been following Liverpool since 2002, I think. There were times that we were 19th. Like 10 years ago. They came in, we were the best team in the world, one of, for the last 5 years. So I only have appreciation for them, but I can't believe people still saying FSG out, Klopp out after 6 months of not as good as what we were. And I guess there will be always division between fan base. Do you think it's just basically generational, the Brighton fans division?
Yeah, to a degree. I think it's a case that football is less localised for my generation. The fact that we're having a chat about football from across the globe, whereas my dad wasn't able to do that when he was my age, sort of thing. People only, I guess, sort of knew what was local to them growing up, and you can now look around the world and you can follow whatever team you want to, and that's fantastic. But then that also means that the bar for success, I guess, goes higher, because why would you want to watch a team that's they're terrible every week and they lose and they're not good and not good fun, they don't sign good players? Because at least in the UK, the Premier League itself being quite difficult to access is a whole different story. But at least global football is, it's so accessible in that regard. So I think younger people have maybe like a higher expectation of success, and I think they've just grown up being able to consume football more in more different ways. FIFA being a thing, Football Manager being a thing, media, which I now work in, covering games, giving details. You always know about a team that's being successful, and you always sort of get the insight why is, here's this team doing this, signing this player, here's what this coach is saying. And I guess you just couldn't switch up before, and it was people watch a local team because they had that attachment to it of the pride, whereas people now, I think, watch football because they want to see a team win and succeed and do well, which is great, fine, all means do it. And I guess it just needs a bit of empathy, or attempts to be empathetic from both sides, to say, well, look, these people think this because we're all just a product of what we've grown up with. So I've grown up with this, so I'm going to probably see it in this way. Someone in my parents' generation will see it differently because that's what they grew up with. And let's just not argue about that, because at the end of the day, we're all sat at the MS because we want to see Brighton win. Almost don't fight over it, sort of thing. Just go have a beer, enjoy yourself. What are you arguing about? Yeah.
I guess the social media, and make any comment anonymously, and people tend to be more of an arsehole on that platform. Lastly, mate, what's your expectation and hope for Brighton this year?
Yeah, expectations are a weird one. I try and look at it in order of what I'd want the club to achieve. So the first thing is, let's get mathematically safe. That's still, I don't mean to be ridiculous, but that is still a thing. We probably are now. I think we're on 38 points, is it? And that has been enough to keep teams up in recent seasons. The magic 40 is always nice. So it would be get mathematical security. Then it will be, can we break our points record, which was 51, I think, from last season? And then it will be, how high up the table can we finish? It takes a lot of active work to not keep checking the table and go, if we get these points here, we'll be there. And it's just sort of like, I've seen Brighton sort of capitulate during seasons in the Championship, in the Premier League, when they've been in good places. And it's like, I'm going to sound like a cliched football manager when you have to take it game by game. But sort of just going, let me not boost my expectations too high. And we're also, we're one game away from an FA Cup semi-final, and when the FA Cup gets you a place in Europe, so that's 3 wins. And with all due respect, and I have a massive amount of respect for Grimsby Town, but also wanting to get the lowest ranked team at home is a good draw. I say that with objectivity. Whether we win it or not is a different matter, but someone goes to you, do you want Man City away or do you want a more winnable game? I almost don't have an expectation for it, because I think I've sort of set expectations before, and we just keep growing, keep bypassing it, and it's almost like maybe just enjoy it rather than go, oh, I'll be happy if we get this. I'd love it if we got Europe. I don't really care what format. I don't think we'll get Champions League. I think that's too far out of reach. Europa League might be good, but I also think it's going to be a really stacked competitive field. It might be a case that the Conference League is more suitable, where you play some sort of weaker teams. Because what I wouldn't want to do is do what Burnley did, when you get Europe, and I know that they massively overperformed that season, but then just completely crash. It's like, I don't want a one-off. I'd like this to be long term. I don't want to just hit this thing once and then crash and burn, which I don't think we would, but it's that's my hope. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, mate.
You're welcome.
You want to give any shout outs? Where can my viewers find you?
If they want to see some of my terrible tweets, they can find me on Twitter. If they type in @Liam Tharme Coach, my surname is spelled Tharme, because lots of people get that wrong. So they can find me over there and subscribe to The Athletic. They can see my articles on there, or again see them on Twitter. If anyone would like to try it that hasn't, please feel free to drop me a DM or get in touch. And I do have a few sort of like trial guest passes I can give out, and I'm more than happy to do that because I believe it's really good quality content. Awesome. But I appreciate, especially in the UK where times are very difficult, that people don't want to give out money readily for football stuff. Please, people, feel free to get in touch.
Cool, mate. Thanks a lot for your time.
Nice one. That's amazing. Thanks so much.